You say, suppose we have to vibrate high and try to maintain ourselves in that high vibration is what we pursue, right?
Which just means care about feeling good and try to find the thoughts that do.
But it's kind of difficult how we can do when someone in our family or someone very close to us is having very hard times.
I know.
It takes health-wise, at least.
It takes caring more about how you feel than anything. We know it takes discipline, but even more than that, it takes starting it at an easier place and letting the momentum help you. You can't just jump right into the middle of a problem and suddenly think different thoughts. You have to start in the easiest place and then just go from there. So the first step is acknowledging that I care how I feel, and that I can feel that the circumstances do not have to dictate how I feel. It's like a decision that you have to come to. I've just decided that I care enough about how I feel that I'm going to deliberately direct my thoughts little by little into places that feel better and better. And after a while it's easy, because law of attraction brings the momentum of better and better feeling thoughts to you.
But that makes me feel kind of guilty. It's like I'm happy, trying to be happy when someone is so bad, so feeling so bad, sad.
We understand that a little bit, but do you believe that if someone is feeling bad, and if you join them in feeling bad, that will help them?
No.
You can't get sick enough to help sick people get well, or poor enough to help poor people become prosperous, or confused enough to help confused people become clear. In other words, it doesn't help them. It's just, we love you so much, laziness on your part. It's just not having come to the decision that you can feel better. Maybe someone has convinced you, if they're miserable, that it's wrong for you not to be miserable too. But after a while, life has to show you that being miserable isn't fun, and it doesn't get you what you want. Hard words, we know.
Yes.
When Jerry made his transition, you know about Jerry and Esther? When Jerry made his transition, Esther thought that she was destined to be sad forever, because it was easy to be sad till she got tired of being sad. Or she just finally woke up one morning and said, enough of this. I have the power to direct my thoughts in less sad places. And then she just got better and better at finding thoughts that felt better and avoiding thoughts. There were some, the people around her, mostly her daughter and her sisters, Esther would say to them on a regular basis, I got to warn you, because there were lots of people around her. It's like a minefield walking around with me, because you never know what's going to trigger me. But after a while, Esther figured out what those things were, and she just kind of stepped around them and started thinking other thoughts, because she wanted to feel good, you see. And so it's just, you just have to decide. And it really is what we're asking all of you to think about all day, every day. How much misery are you willing to allow yourself? And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would say not very much. In fact, we would say not any. In fact, we would say not any, not ever. And those around you who are still miserable might say, where were you last night when I was being miserable? I count on you to come to my misery parties with me. You say, hey, I found other parties. And you're invited, but don't come miserable. You'll bounce right out. We're being playful about this, and we know there are things that when they happen or when you see them or when they're close up to you, it's not easy. We acknowledge that it isn't easy, but we will also acknowledge it gets easier and easier and easier and easier because there is a momentum and law of attraction that will carry you. And you are supposed to feel good. Life is supposed to feel good to you. You are supposed to feel clear-minded. You are supposed to be in alignment with Source. You are supposed to feel lighthearted. You are supposed to love being in this life. You are supposed to wake up eager to greet the day. You are supposed to feel good in this life. And if you don't, something has gone wrong. You've practiced something else. And we're not saying you're making it up. We're not saying that it is not with reason that you are selecting some of that. And we're not saying that it's sometimes not up really, really close to you. But we are saying it's temporary when it comes and you can work your way around it and you are supposed to feel good. And we will not agree with you that sometimes stuff just happens and you can't help the way you feel because you can.
And is there any way that I can help this person to feel better?
By feeling better, that's the only way.
Feeling better.
By
myself.
feeling better. In other words, you cannot give, you see, because in your alignment, this is the way we like to explain this. When you practice, when you're not with them, when it's easier, and you practice alignment till you've really got the hang of it, so you're really feeling good more of the time, so that you are connected to that energy stream. When you're connected to that source energy stream, you are more powerful, you are more influential than millions who are not. So then, law of attraction will cause you to dovetail with them in a moment when they are more likely to hear you. If you are resonating with their misery, law of attraction will cause you to rendezvous with them when they're in their misery. And that's the relationship basis that you have. But if you are deliberately feeling better, if you're making lists of things that feel good to you about everything, but even about them, and until that's what's dominant in your vibration, that's how you'll match up with them. And sometimes it helps them, sometimes it doesn't, but it's their choice, just like it's your choice. In other words, just now you were pleading a very good case, and there isn't anyone in the room who didn't understand what you're saying and agree with you to some degree, but we weren't going to have any of it. Because we know that it can be different for you, you see. And so you didn't talk us into that. You can't ever talk your inner being into misery. And so we want to ask you, if you can't ever talk your inner being into misery, why are you willing to let other people talk you into misery? And in fact, this is worth thinking about. The only reason that you ever feel negative emotion is because you've gone somewhere your inner being won't go. It's that departure from source that causes you to feel that way. Isn't that worth thinking about? My inner being will not join me in this negative thought. And that's why I feel negative emotion. And so that's a good thing for you to learn from your inner being. And then make it clear to everyone else that you're not going to join them in theirs. Someone said, but what about compassion? And we want you to know that what true compassion is staying on your high-flying disc while you hold someone as your object of attention. That's what Source does. True compassion. Not letting your circumstance cause variance in the frequency of Source. And so that's the best that you can do for someone else, but you got to practice yourself there. Because whatever vibration is dominant will dominate the moment. And so if you've been sort of lumbering around, sort of feeling good, not feeling so good, not feeling good, yes, no, pros, cons, you're sort of all over the place, you're not really solid on that high-flying disc, and you meet someone out of obligation, maybe you work with them, maybe you live with them, maybe you were born to them, and as you now rendezvous with them, and you're not on your high-flying disc and they're not either, so that's the relationship you have. If you've been practicing feeling better, first of all, those rendezvous don't happen organically as often because law of attraction doesn't put you together. But when you make a decision to march yourself over there and complete your obligation, or maybe you want to be with them because it is somebody that you love who's having a hard time, if you enter their sphere and you're on your high-flying disc, then and only then is there a chance that they might join you there. But also, there is less chance that you will join them there. you see. So it may be that you just meet up and you don't really have a comfortable conversation because you're not resonating with them and they're not resonating with you. But at least they don't move you from your disc. You see what we're getting at? So now let's talk about this momentum. Let's say that you've sort of been dabbling at feeling good, but you're not really sustaining it very well. And they've not been dabbling. They are an expert at feeling bad. They've been practicing it with a lot of people, and they've got it down, and they are misery dripping. And you walk in, and you don't have much momentum going. You're on a higher disc than they are, but you don't have much momentum going. Their momentum will suck you in. It will. Their momentum will suck you in and make you believe that that's the reality. But it isn't. It's just a temporary state of being based upon the vibration that they've got going, you see. You know people, don't you? Who everywhere they go, trouble happens to them.
Yeah.
It's just the pattern of life. It's their MO, you see. That's just who they are. Well, it's just their practice thought, that's all. You see? And don't you find yourself, once you bump up against somebody like that, sort of making a determination, I think I might not want to hang around here so much. And it's not that it rubs off, it's that the vibrational frequency that is dominant will dominate the experience. And so in every moment you are practicing a frequency. And all we're suggesting is that if you wake up intending to feel good and you practice that higher frequency, that it gets easier and easier and easier to practice it. And then you will be a physical being living in your physical body, an extension of source energy, connected to the energy that creates worlds, focused upon somebody that you care about. That's really what you want. You want to be so tuned in that when you hold someone as your object of attention, you really have something to give them, you see. But you got to practice it when it's easy. You can't start out like that because they'll get you every time.
How are you? So I have two questions. I first came to learn the law of attraction through The Secret, and the best part was later removed, which was you. And processes sometimes are different for different people.
We are The Secret.
That's why your books and DVDs take up more of my shelf. So my question now becomes, processes are sometimes different for different people. Like with Weight Watchers, the points may have worked better than points plus. So what is the difference between ask, believe, receive, and then ask, answer, receive? Are they two different processes, or is what just being described differently?
Well, those are just words that they use so that they could use the material without copyright infringement. So, but step one is ask, and step two is source answers, and step three is you have to find your way to a place of no longer disallowing what source is offering. In other words, it doesn't matter what words you are offering. It's that you have to believe what you're asking for before it can be. If you ask for something and you don't believe it, then your vibration of disbelief is a different frequency, and it will deny you from receiving what you're asking for. So it's pretty easy when you look at it in that way, yes?
Yes.